You guys, I'm filming a video today. Can we believe it? And I'm in quarantine, but I even put jeans on for this. Why? I don't know, because I plan on filming from here up, but you know, let's not forget that I had jeans on for this. Okay? Let's go make some coffee and get down to it. Alright guys, I hope you got your coffee and I hope you're ready to chit chat. Pretty good coffee. So anyway, I just wanted to make this video as kind of like an encouragement. I hope it reaches law enforcement wives, first responder wives. It's just, everybody knows, and I don't want to say it because it sounds so repetitive, but these are crazy times, and not just with the virus, but Joshua has had an increase of just like insane calls, like deaths, homicides, all sorts of things. And I will say the last few months have been the most challenging that I've seen so far as a police wife. Joshua's only been a cop for just about 3 years, but these last couple months have been like where I've seen kind of what people are talking about, like when your spouse becomes a cop, or when you marry an officer, kind of what people a little bit like warn you about, like the hard parts of it. And not with Joshua, but just the job specifically. So he's just been coming home with a lot of baggage, a lot of heaviness from work. And so I just want to kind of talk about what we do to help us through that, and to help us communicate through that, and how I can do my best to support him through these difficult calls that he goes on, and how we try what we do to not let it affect our life at home. So I'll kind of like, I don't want to make it a list because I don't want it to be that formal, but I'll start with the first thing that we do, and the biggest thing, it will always be number one, is prayer. Before he leaves for work, sometimes we pray together, which we should do more often, but I always pray for him before he goes. I pray for myself too, that the Lord would not let me worry, that the Lord would not let me be fearful, that he would take any worries, any burdens I have, and just that he would take that for me, because I don't want to stay up at night worrying about my husband. I don't want to do that, and I shouldn't do that, because I just give it to God. And so I would encourage you, just like before your spouse leaves for work, just try, you know, spending 5-10 minutes just in prayer by yourself or with him, just praying for him, taking your worries to God about anything, about him coming in contact with someone with the virus. Pray for the people that he does come in contact with, that the Lord would be able to use him as a light and to help them, not just have a bad day for everybody. Let's not make it a bad day. Let's make this an opportunity. Everybody that they come in contact with can be an opportunity for a seed to be planted. And I think that's a really cool thing about their job too. It's like they're out there, they see the worst in people every single day, and that's hard. That's really hard. But if they can take that opportunity to show the person a little bit of light and a little bit of encouragement, even if it's just one word of encouragement, just like, you know, this moment does not define you. What you do from now, what you do from this moment, that's going to be your defining time. What you choose to do after this is what's going to define you. This moment, your worst moment, does not define who you are as a person. And I just pray every day that my husband can be that word of encouragement to people who he encounters. Now, I know it's not all rainbow and butterflies. He doesn't always have these opportunities. Sometimes calls go like that. Sometimes he's got to be firm. He's got to be, you know, stern, and he's got to get these people, you know, I don't know what it's like. I'm a wife. I'm not a cop, but, you know, I'm not naive to the fact that sometimes he's got to be really firm, and to protect himself and to protect his coworkers. And so that's my other prayer, is that the Lord would give him the wisdom to know, okay, when can I be a little bit softer, and when do I need to be more firm and get this job done, get this person where they need to be, get this person to listen to me and to cooperate. So that's my first thing, is just prayer. I'm gonna drink my coffee. Now, you kind of never know what you're gonna get when your husband gets home from work. Maybe they've updated you throughout the night or day, and maybe they haven't. For us, I always ask Joshua when he gets home, I'll say, how was your night? Usually his answers are, it was boring, slow, it was crazy. If there's something hard for him that he goes through, like, he'll come in and tell me right away. And so I think kind of like figuring out how you and your partner want to communicate that. Joshua doesn't really talk about things too much. He'll just say like what happened and then he kind of moves on. So I think establishing for you and your partner what's best, if they want to stop and talk about it, if that's really going to help them, then take that time, sketch out that time where they can come to you and talk to you about what they went through, how it's affecting them, and if they need time to process it or whatever. Joshua, I think, is kind of unique in the fact that the only way I can describe it is like, you know, when you watch a movie and you know it's a movie and you can really like separate it from your life. So I'm watching a sad part of a movie, and that's what I tell myself when I watch like scary or sad movies. I'm like, it's just a movie, it's not real. Unless it's based on a true story, then it's like a whole nother ball game. But I just like, it's just a movie. And I think about like the videographer, like the producers in the room, like the lights and everything, and it makes it less sad, less scary, whatever for me. And somehow Joshua is able to really separate what he sees at work from his home life. So sometimes, like this last month in particular, he's seen some really hard things. Somehow he's able to separate that, and I think that's the power of prayer right there, is God removing those images or allowing him, I don't know what it is, but he's able to do it, and I'm so thankful for that. He is really able to separate. Now my only fear with that is that he's just like burying it down. Sometimes I worry that maybe he's burying it down and it's all gonna catch up with him one day, because you know, he's only been at this job for 3 years. And so I try to encourage him as much as possible. Like, if you need to talk, please do so. I'm here, I'm an ear to listen. Like, we have our pastor, there's people, like, you know, his partner is always there to listen. So he knows that he has people that he can talk to, and I continue to remind him of that. Now, here's something that people warn me about, and it's not something that you really realize until you're in it, until like, I don't know, like people told me, but I'm like, I don't know, I think it'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. Joshua will come home and tell me things that are really hard. In particular, this last month, like I said, there was one that was just really hard, really sad, really heavy. So he tells me, and I'm his person, I'm who he comes to. You know, I'm sure he has others. I'm not like, I'm his wife, so I'm special, but I know he talks to other people too. But I am the one that he comes to, that he, at the end of the night, opens up to, communicates how he's feeling, and I can read him too, because I've known him and I can read how he's doing. Now he tells me this, all of a sudden I have this weight too, which I'm happy to do. I'm happy to hear him, I'm happy to listen to him. But now I've heard this sad story and I kind of want to talk about it with someone. But then at the same time, I don't want to make other people sad. So I think about my friends and how I would love to confide in them and open up about this hard thing that my spouse had to go through, and how my heart is so heavy that he had to see that and he had to do that. And now I'm stuck with this because I don't want to make them sad, because it's just going to be a train of sadness and I don't want to do that. So what I've kind of done, what I've found works for me, is I do have a person that I go to, and it's my mom. And I do have friends that are ready to listen and willing, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to. But at the same time, like I said, I don't want to put that on them, because, you know, their spouse's day at work is a lot different than my spouse's day at work. Not that they don't understand, but it's just like, I think police wives get it, but it's hard for people to understand. So I confide in my mom if I feel I need to. She's really able to offer me words of encouragement and wisdom, and I also know I can talk to my pastor and, like I said, friends. So I think it's important that as police wives or first responder wives, we have a person that we can go to confide in. And I know Joshua's partner's wife, she is great, and if I need a word of encouragement, I know I can always talk to her too. And so I think that's really good too, is having police wife friends, whether it be online, whether it be with your spouse's department, just people that understand the life and understand, like, yeah, I don't really want to spread this heavy story either. Like, let me open up and talk to you about it, because we're going through the exact same thing. And even if it's not like, I can talk to my husband's partner's wife. She's typically going through the same thing because they go through to the same calls. But even if you talk to someone that is at a different department, like I said, online, there's all sorts of police wife groups. Like, they're gonna get it because their husband has been through similar yet different circumstances. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is just sort of like scheduling and overtime and the amount of hours that our officers work, because that can be really hard. So when Joshua got out of the academy and began FTO, you know, they're not allowed to do overtime. So that was pretty nice. Like, he always had the set hours and he would come home. So his schedule is 4/10s, so he has 3-day weekends. But that was kind of like a shock when he got out of FTO and all of a sudden this overtime was available, and he was like ready, willing, and able to take it. He loves his job, like he wants to be there. And so that was a little bit of a shock, the amount of hours that he worked right when he got out of FTO. And then the fact that police work isn't like a normal job where like, oh yeah, all my work got done that day, like I got to go home early. No, there's no getting off early. They drive around or whatever they do. Again, I'm a police wife, I'm not a cop, I don't know exactly what they do, but they drive around the whole 10 hours. If it's a 10-hour shift, they're there for 10 hours or more. If it's a 12-hour shift, they're there for 12 hours or more. There's no getting off early in police work. So that was a little bit of a transition for us. And then we had to really like communicate. Like, we decided early on with the season that we're in with 3 small kids, we need his weekend. We need him to be home on those weekends. We need that quality time for our family. And so my neighbor just fell into his bush. Okay, he's fine. I was gonna go see if he needs help, but he's fine. I don't know what he's doing though. Anyway, that's not the point. Quarantine's getting to him maybe, but that's not the point. So kind of like our house rule is Joshua doesn't take any overtime on his weekends. So if they call him asking if he wants to pick up a shift, the answer is always no when it's his weekend. Now let's talk about his work week. So usually they'll call him once or twice during his 4-day work week to see if he wants to take the overtime, and he usually does try to pick up at least 1 overtime shift a week. So we always try, we don't know when they're gonna call him, but we have this little, you'll see it over there, this little, I'm gonna go grab it. So we have this little daily calendar that we use, and I've talked about this on my Instagram a lot, but it's been really, really helpful for us. So, because obviously when he's getting home from work, I'm usually sleeping, so sometimes we're not able to communicate what we wanna do that day. So usually they'll call him around 12 or 1 p.m. to see if he wants to pick up an overtime swing shift and work into his graveyard shift. So that takes away our whole day of possibly seeing each other. So right now he has 6 days off. So right now we have it filled with what we want to get done on his 6 days off. But on a typical day when he gets home in the morning, and if I'm still sleeping, he'll write on here what his plans are for the afternoon, for the evening. So he'll say, if they call me for overtime, I want to say yes. Or if I have plans that I've already made that day, I'll have them already written on here the night before so that when he gets home, he'll see them. So he'll see that I'll have like, I want to go grocery shopping, or I have my Bridges, which is where I volunteer, Bridges meeting tonight. So don't take an overtime shift because I need you to watch the kids. This has been a real game changer for us, because before, like, I would have all these things in my mind while he's sleeping, because he sleeps during the day. I'd have all these things in my mind that I want to get done when he wakes up, and then he'd wake up and be like, okay, I'm going into work. I'm like, that kind of takes away what I needed to get done, and as a stay-at-home mom, like, my time is still valuable too. So this has been a game changer. I highly encourage using something like this just to communicate how you see your day going when you're not able to verbally communicate, or just shoot each other a text the night before, whatever works for you guys in your situation. But this has been really nice for us. So I think just communicating like what days are good for your spouse to take overtime if you want them or don't like them taking overtime on their weekends. And then if you are able to schedule the overtime, like if they do events or anything like that, like traffic, I don't know, anything like that where it's able to be planned, that's really nice, and I recommend that. Now the next thing I want to talk about is, I know I mentioned connecting with other police wives, whether it be online or in real life. But I do want to focus more on that, and I think that there's some great law enforcement or police wife pages on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, anywhere. So I think following those positive spaces, because I follow a lot on Instagram, and you just never know when like some words of encouragement or like, I don't know, just something is gonna pop up that makes you feel better, that makes you feel good, that makes you feel like someone gets you. And I think that's a really powerful tool on social media, is just the relatability, knowing that you're not alone, that someone gets it. And I just think that is so amazing. So just off the top of my head on Instagram, I follow Proud P Wife, that's a really good one, and Ammo and Grace, that's a really good one. There's tons. I will mention some down below in the description, and I encourage you to give them a follow. Those are the ones that post like very like police content is their niche, and so that's what I'm mentioning here, is just the ones that really focus on posting that positivity for police wives. That's very police wife focused. So you can just look up hashtags on Instagram like police wife, Leo wife, law enforcement family, that sort of thing, and you'll find some encouragement there, and you'll know that you'll be reminded that you're not alone. And so the final thing, so that this doesn't get too long, the final thing I'm going to focus on today are some things that maybe you can do after this pandemic, because I also just want to encourage you that this pandemic is not going to last forever. Things are very scary right now. I worry about Joshua going to work and coming in contact with someone that has the virus, but I'm not in control, and so I just have to let go of that. I can only do what I can do. What I can do is stay home to protect my family. When Joshua's off work, we're at home. These are the things that I can control. What I can't control is what happens while he's at work. I can't control the virus. I can't control the spread of the virus. And so I just let go of that. And I know that's easier said than done, but I just encourage you, if you can't control it, I mean, there's nothing I can do. I don't want to say it is what it is. I want to say give it to God and let him take that, and you do your best to just stay busy, stay positive. Like I said, follow those accounts that are going to encourage you, spend time in God's word, and focus on the positives. But what I was going to say before I got sidetracked about the pandemic is go on a ride along, see what your husband's doing while he's on shift. I went on a ride along right before Joshua got hired, and I'd love to go on another one when this is all over. Because it's just really cool to see what they do, see what they're doing while we're at home sleeping, or I don't know. I know not everybody works graves, but Joshua does. So I'm sleeping, he's out there. Some nights he's bored, he's just sitting in his car on his phone. I don't know. So some nights are really boring, some nights are exciting, but I think it's really cool to see how much Joshua and his co-workers like have each other's back. That was something that really impressed me when I went on the ride along before Joshua got hired. Like, if the officer I was with got dispatched to a call, there were always other officers going with him. And that power in numbers really gave me comfort. And it gave me comfort to know that these men and women are all there for each other. Like, it's such a strong brotherhood, sisterhood. It's such a strong bond that these officers have. And so that's what I want to have with police wives too, because although our homes and our families and everything is so unique and different, we do have this one baseline commonality. And although I don't know everything that your spouse goes through, I'm sure we have a lot in common just by the fact that our husbands, our wives are out there risking their lives to protect others. And I think that is so great what they're doing. I could never do it. And so I think connecting with all of you, the police wives out there, the law enforcement wives, the first responder wives, this is what I want to do. And I just want to be there to encourage each other. So if you have any encouraging words to put in the comments, please do so. And if you see someone's comment that you feel led to comment back to, let's do that. Let's build this community. Let's pass on the positivity, and let's be there for each other, especially during these challenging times. And I know this video wasn't perfect. I know there was a lot of rambling, whatever, but even if it encourages one person, that's the point of doing this, and I don't want to not do something just because I ramble. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks for having coffee with me. If you made it this far, take a sip of that coffee and make sure you subscribe and follow me on Instagram and let me know you came from YouTube, and I'd love to connect with you. All right, Have a good day, everybody. Stay in, stay safe, and stay safe.